You're listening to the Digest This podcast, and I'm your host, Bethany Cameron. Green tea and coffee, which one is better? That's what we're going to go over in today's Bite of Knowledge, but it's come to my attention, and I have to bring this up, that 85% of you that listen to the podcast aren't even subscribed or following the show. So if you could do me a huge favor, because you are loyal listeners, if you could please subscribe and follow the show. That way you're not going to miss any upcoming episodes that I have planned, many guests that are, I can't even say, but they are, quote, superstars in the industry. So to make sure that you don't miss our upcoming episodes, please be sure to subscribe and follow the show. And if you haven't already, be sure to give this a 5-star rating and review. By doing so, you help the podcast and it costs you nothing at all. And you really help the show grow. And the more ratings and reviews we have, the better guests we can bring on the show. So your input and your help really does make a difference. So thank you so much for that. Let's talk about colostrum for a second. It's everywhere. I mean, everyone is talking about it, and let's face it, everyone is promoting it, and it can be quite confusing which brand is truly the best because not all colostrum is created equal with good farm practice morals. I first started taking Armor colostrum about 4 years ago, before anyone knew about them and before any other company jumped on the bandwagon. Sadly, when something becomes a hot topic, many other brands quickly bust out the same thing, but with less quality, and sell it at a cheap price just to be a part of the trend. So you end up getting a lesser product and little to no results. Don't be fooled by others. Armor colostrum uses a cold chain biopotent technology that distills over 200 functional nutrients, guaranteeing the highest bioactive integrity and bioavailability. Another great thing about Armor is that they only extract and use the surplus colostrum from USA grass-fed, pasture-raised happy cows that are no longer needing it to supply their young. So you know you're not taking it away from animals that need it. Only the surplus colostrum is used. Armor has 3 flavors, orange, watermelon, and unflavored, which is my personal favorite. It has no flavorings and just one single ingredient. It tastes like creamy milk, yet it's suitable for those with dairy sensitivities because it contains no casein, which is the protein most people with a dairy allergy react to. And Armor has many dairy-sensitive customers. And we worked out a special offer for my audience. You can receive 30% off your first subscription order. Just go to armra.com/digest or enter code DIGEST at checkout to get 30% off your first subscription order. That's armra.com/digest. We are officially in the cooler months, which means hot chocolate, more coffee, and sadly, less water. At least that's been my experience. Whenever it gets cold, I often tend to drink more tea and hot beverages and forget to drink my water, which can lead to not only dehydration, but constipation, headaches, and even low energy and mood swings. In fact, when we don't drink enough water and get adequate electrolytes, we are more susceptible to getting sick because we are not flushing out toxins in our body through our urine. Thankfully, I found a trick to help me get in my hydration, including electrolytes, and that's simply by adding 1 pack of Element's raw, unflavored electrolytes to my large water container that I carry around with me all day. It's not enough just to drink plain water. We often need essential minerals to help balance out our body and keep hydrated. Element's raw, unflavored version contains no sugar, no flavorings, no coloring, and no fillers. It has a science-backed electrolyte ratio of salt, magnesium, and potassium, and their unflavored version has only those 3 ingredients: no maltodextrin, no natural flavors, stevia, monk fruit, or anything else I wouldn't put into my body. But hey, if you're not a fan of unflavored, they also have options like watermelon, citrus, raspberry, and even chocolate salt, which you can drink warm as a hot chocolate alternative. Element is formulated to help anyone with their electrolyte needs and is perfectly suited for those following a keto, low-carb, vegan, or paleo diet. Right now, they're offering my listeners a free sample pack with any purchase. That's 8 packets for free with any Element order. To get 8 free packs, you must go to drinkelement.com/digest to get this offer. That's DRINKLMNT.com/digest. And they also have a no questions asked refund policy, so you can try it totally risk-free. If you don't like it, they will give you your money back, no questions asked. You really have nothing to lose. Go to DRINKLMNT.com/digest. Get this, you guys. In the United States, more than 85% of adults consume caffeine regularly with an average daily intake of 180 milligrams, which is the amount of caffeine in about 2 cups of coffee. People consume green tea and coffee for their taste and health benefits. Caffeine is the most widely consumed stimulant drug worldwide and is a naturally occurring stimulant found in the leaves, seeds, and fruits of various plants, but most commonly consumed via coffee and tea. In fact, coffee and tea are often the most predominant sources of caffeine in a person's diet. Coffee provides more than 3 times the amount of caffeine than green tea in an 8-ounce serving of coffee. Coffee provides more than 3 times the amount of caffeine than green tea. An 8-ounce serving of coffee provides 96 milligrams of caffeine, while the same amount of green tea provides 29 milligrams. According to research, intakes of 400 milligrams of caffeine per day are considered safe for adults. However, the recommended limit drops to 100 milligrams per day for teenagers and 2.5 milligrams per day for children. Now, it's one of those most studied substances, surprisingly, due to its multiple beneficial health effects. These benefits include increased energy levels, alertness, attention, and wakefulness, lowered mental and physical fatigue, quickened reaction times and improved accuracy, enhanced exercise performance, and improved memory and mood. And I mean, let's just face it, whenever we get a cup of coffee, we're instantly happier, right? Evidence also shows caffeine has protective effects on brain health, reducing the risk of dementia and other degenerative diseases. And some studies have even linked caffeine intake with a lowered risk of developing type 2 diabetes. However, the research on caffeine and diabetes seem contradictory, and further evidence does suggest that it may actually increase blood sugar levels. So this is an ongoing debate. Now, let's talk about the health benefits of both green tea and coffee and compare them. So, green tea and coffee both have multiple health benefits in common, including their high antioxidant content and even weight loss effects. Free radicals play numerous beneficial roles in your body. However, in excess, they lead to oxidative stress, which is harmful to obviously the body, and it's a harmful process that can negatively affect your health by causing disease and speeding up the aging process. So you really have to find that sweet spot, right? Luckily, coffee and green tea are loaded with antioxidants. These are compounds with beneficial effects, and they help fight against oxidative stress. So it's kind of a double-edged sword here. So they're both particularly rich in a group of antioxidants called polyphenols. In both drinks, these are responsible for many of their health benefits and flavor. So EGCG and CGA are the most abundant polyphenols in green tea and coffee, respectively. Studies in humans suggest they may have potent anti-cancer effects, okay? And I'm going to put those studies in today's show notes. For instance, EGCG may hinder tumor growth and the spread of the tumors, and it may lead to tumor cell death. Its anti-inflammatory effect may help prevent the chronic inflammation involved in the onset of cancer. On the other hand, CGA appears to inhibit tumor growth and promote cancer cell death. Again, I will be sure to put these studies in today's show notes as well, just in case you want to look at them further and dig deeper, because come on, I'm a nerd and I love to dig deeper and look at the studies. So, additional studies suggest that EGCG in green tea may have a beneficial effect against cancer cells in head and neck tumors, as well as in lung, prostate, breast, colorectal, and pancreatic cancer cells. Very interesting, you guys. Now, coffee's CGA may have beneficial effects against liver, endometrial, and skin cancers. Additionally, CGA in both green tea and coffee may also benefit heart health and blood sugar control by regulating blood triglyceride levels and improving how your cells respond to the hormone insulin. So they all green tea and coffee have both anti-cancer benefits according to these studies, but the cancers differ depending on green tea versus the coffee and also again the cancer. So it's interesting that it's not just a blanket statement, but also I think it's more more trustworthy to say that certain antioxidants in these green teas and in the coffee, they can provide different benefits and anti-cancer for different cancers. So just to say a blanket statement like, oh, coffee can help kill cancer cells, I think that's too broad of a statement. And so I like that these studies really go into the details of what cancer cells and what antioxidants can help with what. Now, let's talk about weight loss. So coffee's CGA and green tea's EGCG, together with caffeine, provide both drinks with weight loss properties. So let's get into what those are. There are animal studies indicating that CGA may lower insulin, blood cholesterol, and triglycerides in the blood, as well as reducing weight and visceral fat, which is the fat stored inside the abdomen around the organs and is linked to an increased risk of heart disease and diabetes. Other studies show that EGCG, oh man, I've been saying EGCG, CGA a lot. So the EGCG also leads to weight loss and reduced visceral fat by promoting fat breakdown. It also helps promote the growth of beneficial bacteria in the gut, which is always a plus. And that in turn can help burn fat and improve insulin sensitivity. So if it can help promote the growth of beneficial bacteria in the gut, it naturally can help burn fat and improve the insulin sensitivity. So again, a healthy gut is like the root of all health or diseases, right? There's been even additional studies that have found that caffeine appears to reduce hunger, increase calorie burning, and activate a type of fat called brown fat, which I have talked about previously in an older Bite of Knowledge episode. That's episode 197 to be exact, which I will put in today's show notes for you to listen to. The more brown fat you have, the better and slimmer you are. So definitely listen to that Bite of Knowledge, which is only about 20 minutes. Again, I'll put that in today's show notes so you can go back to and listen to episode 197. So let's talk about L-theanine in green tea. So the L-theanine in green tea, which it's an amino acid naturally present in tea, including green tea, right? It's in a lot of teas, but green tea specifically. This compound is known to affect the brain and increase feelings of calm alertness. One 2008 study gave 6.8 ounces of L-theanine to participants, and the participants who drank the L-theanine had more alpha brainwave activity, which indicates a calm and more alert mental state. There's been additional evidence that shows green tea is associated with a reduced risk of stroke, diabetes, and depression, while coffee is linked to reduced heart disease mortality. So again, there's benefits to both, but just different benefits, right? Now, are there any downsides or potential downsides of coffee and green tea? So though both of them have tons of benefits, they may also have some drawbacks, which let's talk about. added ingredients. Okay, so like sweeteners, creamers, and flavored syrups that may significantly increase your coffee or tea's calorie and sugar count. I think that's a no-brainer, right? It's like not even, I don't even have to mention that. But I do have to because I think still there's people out there that just think I'm gonna get a Starbucks coffee or latte and like, get tons of health benefits. There's research to show that sweetened coffee and tea are among the foods that contribute to higher sugar intake in the US. This is associated with, of course, weight gain, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and dental cavities. I have to share you this story. So I recently went to get a body scan and I looked at the technician's desk and saw two iced Starbucks coffee, venti size, which is the largest size, right? And I asked the technician if both of those coffees were hers and they were the iced coffees. And she was like, oh, yeah, those are mine. Both of them are mine. I said, okay. In fact, she gave me more info than I even asked for. And she went on to say that every morning she goes to Starbucks every morning and gets two venti iced coffee with sugar-free syrup, and which in my opinion is just as bad, and has other negative effects on the body if you get the sugar-free syrups. Um, she then went on to say, then at lunchtime, I get another one. So that's three per day. So this is very common in America, and the sugary caffeinated drinks, either with real sugar or sugar-free syrups, both make you addicted and craving more. I truly think that sugar and even sugar-free alternatives are more addictive than caffeine itself. Rarely do you see people drinking plain cups of coffee all day, but when sugar is added to the mix, it's a whole other story. That's not to say caffeine isn't addictive, it sure is, but more so with sweeteners, including zero-calorie sweeteners. And even though caffeine is considered a beneficial drug, and yes, I said drug, consuming too much of it may lead to unwanted side effects such as caffeine-induced anxiety and sleep disorders. Evidence suggests that chronic intakes of caffeine may lead to increased alertness and anxiety. And if consumed in high doses of over 400 milligrams per day, which is a lot, it can worsen symptoms of anxiety, panic disorder, and insomnia. Caffeine use may also lead to caffeine dependence in some people, and those who have caffeine dependence may have caffeine withdrawal symptoms and may need to discontinue to consume it despite experiencing side effects. Caffeine, whether it's from coffee or tea or any other source of caffeine, it may also lead to caffeine dependence in some people, and those who have caffeine dependence may have caffeine withdrawal symptoms and may need to continue to drink it, and they may need to continue to consume it despite experiencing side effects. So you have to be aware of that. Now, there's evidence that oils naturally present in coffee may increase blood cholesterol levels. And an analysis of studies found that consuming coffee made without a paper filter was associated with increased total and LDL cholesterol in the blood, which is the bad cholesterol. And that was, again, if you consume it made without a paper filter. Interestingly enough, researchers found that people's cholesterol levels did not rise when they drank coffee that was made using a paper coffee filter. Interesting. Now let's talk about the proper ways to prepare these drinks. And then I'm going to go into the types of drinks because not all coffee and not all green tea is created equal. So as I just mentioned, use a coffee filter. So paper filters help reduce the amount of oils from coffee, which was associated with blood cholesterol levels. And if you are using a paper filter, make sure it is non-bleached, okay? Now, again, switch your creamer, if you're using one, to one that has no sugar or sugar substitutes. Making this simple change will help reduce your drink's total calorie content and will help you not crave cup after cup. If you prefer to add a creamer, I recommend either just plain milk, plain cream, or butter blended into your coffee. I personally add ghee blended into my coffee, which is basically the same thing as butter, just it does not have a lot of the lactose. So if you are lactose intolerant or lactose sensitive, try ghee instead of butter. It's amazing. I use goat milk ghee, which is a lot easier to digest. You can get it on Amazon. I'll put a link in today's show notes. I'll make a note of that to include the goat milk ghee that I use. But any ghee, as long as it's grass fed, it's great. Now, again, you can add cinnamon or nutmeg to your coffee. So instead of using a sweetener, just try adding cinnamon or nutmeg. These spices may help prevent and treat type 2 diabetes and obesity. There's even studies to back this, you guys. And then lemon juice to your tea. Okay, so if you're drinking tea, studies show that adding lemon juice to your green tea may make its antioxidants more available to your body. Who knew, right? Be sure to get mold-free coffee and mold-free green tea. Many coffees and teas are sprayed with pesticides, glyphosate, and contain high amounts of mold. So if you're drinking either of these two drinks for the benefits, but consuming a low-quality version, you are doing more of a disservice to your body than good, honestly. So for coffee, I recommend the brand Equip Foods Clean Coffee, which is not only third-party tested for mold, heavy metals, glyphosate, and other contaminants, but Equip Foods Clean Coffee is also organic, certified, and regenerative, which means the coffee berry plants are grown in soil with more minerals and nutrients, which then is passed on to the coffee beans you consume. They offer regular and also decaf, which is, they offer regular, but also they offer decaf, which I actually love drinking decaf because I know that they don't use any chemicals. They use a Swiss water technique to decaffeinate the beans. So there's no chemicals involved in the process of the decaffeination, which I love. And though decaffeinated coffee may not have caffeine, it still does contain many benefits. So if you do want to try Equip Foods coffee, you can get it for 20% off. You can use my code Little Sipper, LILSIPPER, and get 20% off your entire order. For green tea, I always recommend matcha green tea because it's been shown to contain loads more of the antioxidants and EGCG compounds than regular green tea. But again, you have to be careful where you get it from. I only consume the matcha from Peak Tea. It's ceremonial grade, which is very important. You want to only use ceremonial grade, and you don't want to you don't want anything less if you're using it for drinking. Plus, Peak Tea triple toxin screens their matcha tea for lead, heavy metals, mold, glyphosate, and other contaminants. It's, of course, organic certified, and it came back. My friend, Dr. G, he's my friend, he did a lab test where he tested several brands of green matcha teas, and Peak came up on the top for quality, purity, and transparency. So if you go to today's show notes, I have a special link that will get you a discount via the link if you want to try Peak Tea's matcha or any of their other amazing teas. So I'll just put that in today's show notes as well. Their matcha is freaking amazing. So the $1 million question is, which is better, green tea or coffee? Well, green tea and coffee are both safe beverages that provide you with the benefits of caffeine and antioxidants. Both are associated with a decreased risk of certain diseases. However, people with anxiety, insomnia, and panic disorders should consider choosing green tea over coffee due to its lower caffeine content and because it contains L-theanine, which is the amino acid that promotes a state of calmness. Coffee's higher caffeine content may more easily lead to caffeine dependence compared with that of green tea. Now, on the flip side, coffee would be a more suitable choice if you're looking for increased alertness or improved physical performance. So determining which is better ultimately comes down to your specific needs. I hope today's bite of knowledge was insightful and you enjoyed it. Again, go to today's show notes if you want to check out those studies and the links to some of the products I mentioned, like the goat milk ghee and the different teas with discounts. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for listening to this episode of Digest This. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review in your podcast app to let us know. If you're ever wondering how you can support me and this podcast, sharing it with your friends and family is the best way. This is a Wellness Loud production produced by Drake Peterson and edited by Mike Fry. To check out more shows by my team, go to wellnessloud.com, and to email the show, message us at digestthispod@gmail.com. See you next time. The content of this show is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for individual medical and mental health advice and does not constitute a provider-patient relationship. As always, talk to your doctor or health team first.
Are you looking to reclaim your health? Tune into the Real Foodology podcast hosted by me, Courtney Swan, integrative nutritionist and real food activist. I am on a mission to transform our food system by challenging the corrupt practices that undermine our health and replace them with choices that genuinely support our well-being. Listen to Real Foodology podcast on your favorite podcast app. New episodes every Tuesday.